Hello guys, Samar from this side, back again with new tutorial video. In this video, we are going to download some web file content to our mobile device. So let's start the video. So in the last video, you can see about that we take the image from the camera and gallery and we show that image full screen and it's looking beautiful. Now what in this video, what our agenda is that by default, as you see in that last video, that the image part is by default is empty. Okay, so by default what I do in this video, I will put a network file link in that image path. I make a new floating action button with the download icon. When that icon will be clicked, the image will be downloaded and that image will be saved in the gallery. Okay, so for that we have to install some of the important packages and that's actually our agenda. So let's forward with that. So for installing the packages, we have to first go to the prospect.yaml and here we have to install the rest of the packages. So what will be the packages? For that we have to go to the pub.dev. The first package is path provider. So I will tell the functionality of all of the packages. We will install about 3 to 4 packages for that video. So please stay patient of that and that will be very much helpful to you when you make any project in the future. So please be patient here. So what we have to do, we have to click on that installing part of path provider and here we have to copy that path. So I paste it here. Okay. Now after that we have to install that permission handler package. After that we have to install the package name as permission handler. So I paste it here and after that as I said, when we download the image and we will try to save the image in the gallery. So for that we have to use that package image gallery saver. We have to go to the installing part of it and here we copy that package name and we paste it here. Okay, we don't need Flutter PubGet as of now. So what we have to do, and then we have to use that package name as do. So we have to install that package as well. So here we copy that and here we have to come back to our prospect.yaml. Okay, now what we have to do, in the terminal we have to run the Flutter PubGet. It will take a little bit of time and let's understand what is default function, what the functionality flow we are going to do in this video. So through that path provider package, we will get the root path in our internal storage or in the external storage, that is if the SD card is connected. With that path, when we get, we will check the permission if user give the permission to that app so that we can read from that internal storage and save data. That means write any data in our mobile local storage. So for that permission handler package will be used. And one more thing, as you know, when something is downloaded and sometimes we can't find that image particularly in the gallery because it is maybe saved in any nested folder in our file system of our mobile device. So what we have to do, we have to save it in our gallery app of our mobile device. So for that we should use that image gallery package, and for downloading all of that content, what we have to do, we have to use that do package. So that do package will be responsible for downloading the web file content in our mobile device. Okay, so that's the 4 packages flow. Now let's install the configuration for every package. So for the path provider, we have to come to the readme section of it, and in the readme section there is no special permission is necessary as of now because permission for getting storage of all of that we will getting from that permission handler. So in that permission handler, if you go to the Android, there is in the gradle.properties that permission is required. So let's see if that properties is present or not. And the gradle.properties in enable GTFire is true and use Android X is true. So that too already present, and compile SDK version is should be 33. So what we have to do, we have to go to the Android app level build.gradle and that compile SDK version is 33. So that's totally fine. For the iOS, there is some configuration is left. So for that iOS, if you install any of the permission, I will tell you how to do that. So what the permission we have to add in that Android manifest.xml for that Android. So just like we want to read the root storage path from our mobile device. So that should be read storage path. So for that, what we have to do, we have to go to the Android manifest.xml, and here we have to add 3 of the permission. So I will tell you what that permission are. So the first permission is read external storage. As I said, we have to take the root path of the internal storage or the external storage. So we have to read that root path. So that's why we write here read external storage. And here you can see we provide here max SDK version is 32 because up to the Android 12 that read external storage permission is supported widely. From after that, just like from that Android 13, we have to use in different ways. So I will tell that. So you have to use max SDK version, so 32. Okay, now that target API is donor, so that's for the Android 12. Okay, so that API will be targeted. Now, as I said, we have to save the image in our mobile device. That means we are writing in the mobile device file system. So for that, we have to use that permission, write external storage. Okay, so for the Android 13, what happened, that the read external storage is required as of now, but what is special required if we want to work with some reading of the images from the file system? So we have to provide that particular read media images. Just like if you want to read the videos from the file system, you have to provide read media videos. Okay, so from that Android 13, you have to conscious about that specific permission. From that up to the Android 12, you don't have to carry about that. Okay, and one more thing is that just like that permission, we have to add that permission in the iOS. So what happened, as you can see, for that iOS, they are telling that for creating a port file, and under that port file you have to add in that way. So as I using a Android device, as you can see here, I using a Android device, I'm not adding any long iOS configuration for that. If you are running that app particularly in the iOS, what you have to do, you have to go that URL. I will put that URL in the description, please check it out. So here they are telling in iOS folder you have to make a port file, and here you have to write that kind of code and write that permission. So here you can see there is many more permission is here. Which permission you require, you have to put it 1, and which permission you not required, give here 0. So just like we want the permission for the media library, so we will put it 1, and if we are not want any permission for the location, so we will put it 0. Okay, so as simple as that. So I put the link in the description, you can configure for the iOS. Okay, so as of now I proceed with from the Android because I am using the Android device. Okay, now after that come to the image gallery saver, and image gallery saver in that readme, here they are telling you project need create with Swift and the following info.place file, add photo library, add users description. In the last video I think we already added that, so let's see it. So under iOS runner and info.placed, here you can see ns photo library uses description. So if you not see the last video of the tutorial series, so you must watch that video, that will be really fun for you. And if you not added any permission yet in the info.list, in case of iOS development using Flutter, so you can add that permission in that info.list with that string. Okay, so after that let's see what they are telling. So they are telling that in that iOS, that's okay, and for that Android you have to use Android request legacy external storage too. In the last video of the series we already added that in the Android manifest.xml. As you can see here, we can add it in that in the last video. In case you not see the last video, you can add that permission here from that video as well. Okay, now after that there is the code of all of that blah blah blah. So what we have to do, then come to the DO package, and here in the DO package you don't have to do any of the configuration as of now. This is a normal package. So what we have to do, as we already done the Flutter pub get, all of the packages Gradle configuration will be getting download and getting built during the runtime when we run the app from our Visual Studio Code using the Flutter run. So that will take a time to run the project. So let's run the Flutter project. So I increase the terminal size so that it will be looking good, and in that terminal what we have to do, we have to write our favorite command to run the Flutter app, that is Flutter run. So let's wait till that app is getting run. Okay, so guys, when I running the app, that error is coming unexpectedly, and that's due to because we are using that users permission. So when we are using that users permission, we have to must declare that line under that manifest tab at the upper side of the Android manifest.xml. We have to must use that line xml tools http schemas.android.com/tools. So let's start the project again here, and let's see if we face another error or not. Flutter run. So guys, as you can see, our project is started, and as of now that 2 buttons is not required. Only one floating action button will be fine for us. So what I have to do, we have to disabled one of the floating action button here. So I disable that down floating action button and also the pacing. Now what we have to do, for that upper side of the floating button, we don't need the camera icon because we want to download a picture from the internet. So for that we have to use that download icon. So that's the icon will be totally fine, and that's not the functionality of taking image from camera, so we can remove that as well. And let's make it a hot reload and let's see how it's look. So here you can see the download button is showing here. Now the main thing is that in the last video you see that image part is by default initialized with the empty string, but in that video we will initialize with a network image. So for now you can search for any of that image that is present on the internet and put the link of that image in that image path variable. So I am getting ready with the network image, so I put the link here. So guys, I put a network image link here. I hope you already put the image link here as well. Now what we have to do, in the last video we under the decoration, what we done, we make that image as a file image, but now we are using the network image, so that file image will not be allowed here. So we have to write network image, and we know that we have to write network image in that way. Okay, so what we have to do, as we are changing in that declaration as well, we have to hot restart so that all the changes will be implied here. Okay, so if we make a hot restart here, as you can see, when the app is hot restarted, the beautiful image covering the full screen, and it is showing here. Now our main agenda is that we have to download that image. Okay, so how can we download? So for that we have to import some of the packages. That packages is not required as of now because we see that packages functionality in last couple of videos, so I removed that, and also that packages is not required as of now. Now the main important packages we have to import that we already installed in that prospect.yaml, so that the 4 packages. So now our first work is that we have to get the root of the directory of internal storage or external storage. So for that Android, I prefer with go to the external storage. So if you come here in that path provider documentation, here you can see that external storage is actually available for the Android, but for the iOS it is not available. So if you are running that Flutter app in any iOS device or iOS emulator, you have to use that application document. So what how can we call that? So here come download content. Okay, so I make a separate method here as of it. So here what we have to do, we have to write get external storage directory. So that get external storage directory, it is present under that path provider. Okay, so in case of you are running that Flutter app in the iOS, not in the Android, make sure you will have to import that application documents. For the iOS, how can you import that application document? You have to write get application document directory. Okay, so for the iOS you have to use that, and for the Android you can use that, but for the Android I prefer with that get external storage directory, that giving the more comfort to you in case of Android, not in the iOS. But as you can see, it is a future method. We have to must use as a asynchronous, and now we have to take the root of the path from it. Okay, so that will be return that root of the directory. Okay, so we write here root directory. Okay, and for taking that root directory we have to do a thing at first here. So we have to take the permission from the storage as well. So for taking the permission from the storage, we have to write permission dot storage dot request, and we have to take that request. Okay, so if we if that request is permission status dot granted, so if the permission status is not granted, we have to return it from here. Okay, I have to declare it here, and that will be return the permission status. Okay, and we have to declare that permission status here. Okay, so that request method actually giving a future of it, so I have to give here await. So if we are checking, we have to request to the user to giving the permission, then we are checking if the user granted the permission or not. So if user not granted the permission, we can't keep forward. Now what we have to do, we make a new path where our downloaded images will be getting saved with a new name. So image stored path. And one more thing here is that we have to import a package that we just deleted here, that is import.io. okay, now what we have to do here, we have to write here directory, and we have to provide here the path where that file will be getting saved with that file name. Okay, root directory, and not the root directory because that will be a directory, root directory path. Okay, now we have to check one more thing here. If that root directory is null, that means that root directory path we are not getting, so we are returning from here. Okay, give the picture name that we want to save the picture with that name. So here I write horse. Okay, and we also provide the extension so that the picture will be saved in the proper way. So here I write horse.png, so that will be the picture name. Okay, so in the root directory plus horse.png, that will be the total directory path for that picture to be stored. Okay, so now what we have to do after that, as that path we want to create, we just we have to call that method create, and there is a parameter name as recursive optional parameter. So we have to provide here recursive true. So when you provide here the recursive true, so actually what happened, that path will be created only once in the whole application. We have to write here await, and what we have to do after that, we have to take the path. So new stored directory, and that will be return the new path of it. So we can write new file path, that will be image stored directory dot path. Okay, so that path in that path the image will be getting stored. So how can we download the image using the DO package? Now let's the main focus for here. So now we have to first make the object of DO. So we already imported the package at the top, so there will be no problem of it. So after that, what we can do, we can write here do dot download, and we have to provide the URL path. So what is the URL path of the image? So that's the URL image path is showing here. So we have to write here image path, and we have to provide the saved path as well. So the saved path will be that new file path we just created here with recursive true. Okay, so here we provide new file path. Okay, now that will be help us to download the picture, but that will not be saved in our image gallery. So when we want to save it in the image gallery, we have to write here when complete. So when that download will be getting completed, we have to come under that function. Okay, under that callback function when complete. So when we writing code here, and that code will be executed under that when complete, that means the downloading is already done. Now we have to save that downloaded file in the image gallery. So how can we do that? We have to call image gallery saver image file. Now we have to provide a file path here. So what will be the file path? That will be the file path, because that image will be stored as a PNG file. So that file path is new file path. Okay, so that will be a asynchronous method. So when that will be saved in the gallery, what we have to do, we can show a message image downloaded. Downloading the image and storing in the gallery, that will need a few seconds. So what we should do here, we have to show a loading when the images are getting downloaded. So how can we do that? We have to declare a variable here name as bool, and here we have to by default make that is loading variable as false, because by default the loading will not be start. So when that loading will be start, so the loading will be start from here actually. Okay, so if here we write is loading is true, and we have to update the widget state, so we have to write set state. Okay, I also copy that. Here what we have to do, when that will be saved in the gallery, that will be so is loading is false because that the operation is completed. Maybe there is a chance that there may be any error caused. So what we have to do, we have to write here catch error, and here instead of the constant remove that, and here we will show image download error. So if there is any error coming during the image download, that will be so here. One more thing is left here, please be patient. Is loading is getting false here, but when the is loading is true or false, we have to show a loading here as well. So what we can do, if that is loading, then we have to show at the center of the screen at a circular progress indicator. Okay, so if it is loading, that will be so circular progress indicator. If not, it is not loading, that will be so no image found. But that the text will be not so as of now, because the picture is showing by default here. Okay, so guys, now the app is ready to getting the download the image, but I realize I make a very big mistake here. Here in that line number 125, when we make that directory here, that hots.png will be not a file here, that will be considered as a directory. Okay, instead of that that we can give the file name, so that we can write our folder name, because here the directory is getting created, not the file is getting created. Okay, so we have to write here. Okay, so that download folder will be getting created. Okay, so now the new file path will be that the folder we created here manually, that the downloads folder under that root of the current project. Now what we have to do, we have to make that file path in our file system. So what we have to do, after that, as we give the forward slash here, we don't have to give that forward slash, we have to just write the file name. So here I write hots.png. now that file will be getting saved. Okay, now that is totally fine. Okay, I make a hot restart here. So guys, before I click on the download button, I want to show you in that gallery that I don't downloaded that horse picture in my gallery, so that you can trust that method will work. So now come back to the app, and if we click on that download button, requiring that permission for saving that in our local storage, for that permission handler, permission the storage. Okay, so if I allow it, that loading is started, so that is downloading, and as you can see, the image is downloaded, that is showing here. Okay, now let's see in the gallery if it is stored or not. So here in the gallery you can see here today that picture is getting stored. So as the port is working successfully, image getting download and in our file system, and also getting stored in our gallery, so that we can view from the gallery as well. Okay, so in this video we successfully done about the permission handling for the storage, also taking the root path of that current project from the file system, download that web file or web image especially in our file system, and also store that particular image in our gallery, so that we can enjoy that picture. So that's all for today. Hope you love this video. If you love this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. The next video of the series is coming very soon. Stay tuned for that. Have a nice day. Bye.